Welcome to this video on the Microsoft Copilot for Security course. My name is Albert Kirkpatrick, and I'm a Microsoft trainer. Microsoft Entra ID protection applies the capabilities of Microsoft Copilot for Security to summarize a user's risk level, provide insights relevant to the incident at hand, and provide recommendations for rapid mitigation. Before you get started with Copilot in Microsoft Entra, your organization must be onboarded to Microsoft Copilot for Security. The Entra plugin must be enabled in Copilot, and the user must have the appropriate role permissions. Copilot assumes the permissions of the user when it tries to access the data to answer the queries. So you need to have the required permissions to access the Entra data. To view and investigate a risky user's sign-ins, sign in as the Entra admin, navigate to protection, identity protection, and then to the risky users report. Select a user from risky users, and then select the Summarize tab in the risky users details window. The risky users summary contains three sections. Summary by Copilot, which summarizes natural language why the user risk level was elevated. What to do lists actionable insights tailored to the incident at hand to resolve the risk. And then Help and Documentation, which lists customized recommendations for how to mitigate against those types of attacks. With quick links built in to help and the documentation, this gives you a comprehensive way to resolve any potential risky users leveraging the power of Copilot. Microsoft Copilot and Microsoft Intune allows you to do policy and setting management. You can use Copilot tooltips to learn more about individual settings when creating a policy, and you can also use Copilot to summarize an existing policy. With device details and troubleshooting, you can get device-specific information about a resource. You can also troubleshoot a device. Once again, before you begin, you need to enable Copilot to access your Intune data. For either the embedded or standalone experience, Microsoft Copilot for Security must be configured, and the Microsoft Intune plugin must be enabled in Copilot for Security. To do this, you'll have to make sure you have the appropriate permissions, and you'll need role permission that grants you access to Copilot. You also need a separate Intune service-specific role, like Intune Endpoint Security Manager, for example. There isn't a built-in Intune role that includes access to Copilot. Note that currently, Copilot in Intune is available for just policy and setting management and device details and troubleshooting. More functionality for Copilot for Intune is going to be coming in the future. If you want to look at what types of policies are available for you within Intune, you can look at things, for example, like compliance, device configuration, and most endpoint security settings. When you configure a new policy, you can then use Copilot to learn more about the individual settings, their impact, and the recommended values using Copilot tooltips. From an existing policy, you can summarize that policy. It gives you a description of what it does, the users and groups it's assigned to, and the settings in that policy. That's always a common challenge when we're looking at or evaluating any kind of policy settings, is understanding who they apply to. This feature can help you understand the impact of a policy and its settings on your user. Whether you're using Copilot to learn about settings for a new policy or summarize an existing one, the Copilot window can give you additional prompts that you can use. You could also select the prompt guide icon in the bottom right and select from a list of existing prompts. Same when you're getting details for troubleshooting. You could use Copilot to get the device information like installed applications, group membership, and other information that can help troubleshoot the device. When the Copilot window opens, all you have to do is select a prompt and then enter any additional or optional input that you would need. Microsoft Copilot Defender for Cloud allows you to analyze, summarize, remediate, and delegate your recommendations using natural language prompts. It's available for all users when you enable Defender for Cloud, have access to Copilot, and have SCUs assigned for Copilot for Security. This allows Copilot to gain an understanding of your security posture through analysis, prioritize your remediation efforts through summarization, and improve your security posture by recommended remediation options. It also gives you the ability to delegate, ensuring that the right person is handling the risks and vulnerabilities detected. Defender for Cloud integrates Copilot directly into your Defender for Cloud experience. Copilot for Security and Defender for Cloud, however, isn't reliant on any of the available plans in Defender. However, in order to enjoy the full range of Copilot for Security's capabilities in Defender for Cloud, we recommend enabling the Defender for Cloud Security Posture Management, or the DCSPM plan, on your environments. The DCSPM plan includes many extra security features like attack path analysis, risk prioritization, and more. All of these which can be navigated and managed using Copilot for Security. Without this plan, you'll still be able to use Copilot for Security and Defender for Cloud, but in a limited capacity. You can analyze recommendations with Copilot. You can analyze all the recommendations presented on the recommendation page, or you can adjust the scope to see recommendations more focused on specific topics to help you get a better understanding of your security posture. Once the list of recommendations is filtered, you can then investigate specific recommendations and gain a better understanding of the risks and vulnerabilities that are present in your environment. The big function, though, is summarization, being able to summarize those recommendations and get a full understanding of the risks and vulnerabilities that are present in your environment. Summarizing then allows you to identify what the highest priority risks are and prioritize your remediation efforts accordingly. Remediation recommendations are always present on the recommendation page and available through natural language prompting. Remediating a recommendation with Copilot Security allows you to improve your security posture by addressing risks identified by the product and associated directly with the vulnerabilities that are present in your own environment. We mentioned that a core feature is also delegation. We want to make sure that the right people have exposure based on the recommendations that we have. So we can take the recommendations from Copilot for Security and delegate them to another individual or to another team. Delegating recommendations also helps you improve your overall security posture. It's again, making sure the right people address the risks and vulnerabilities presented by the recommendations that are present in your environment. Copilot for Security gives you the ability to remediate code as well. When we're working in any kind of code-based architectures, especially if we're using something like infrastructure as a code, Copilot for Security can help discover misconfigurations in your code repository. Remediating infrastructure as code misconfigurations that are discovered in your code repositories gives you the ability to leverage the findings of Copilot to address potential security misconfigurations and vulnerabilities early in the developmental lifecycle. This allows you to automatically generate pull requests that correct identified weaknesses. To remediate code with Copilot, first of all, you have to connect your Azure DevOps environment to Defender for Cloud. You need to configure the Microsoft Security DevOps Azure DevOps extension, review and ensure that you meet the DevOps security support and any of the prerequisite requirements. That'll give you the capacity to be able to leverage those services in your infrastructure as a code architecture. All right? That's a lot. So let's pause for a moment and do a little knowledge check to see if you're following along with us. After enabling the Entra plugin in Copilot and assigning the appropriate role permission, an admin navigates to the risky users report to investigate a user's risky sign-ins. What should the admin do next to view the Copilot generated summary? Select the export option to download the user risk details. Check the user activity log for recent sign-in attempts. Select the Summarize tab in the risky user details window. I'll pause a moment while you think about your answer. Right, summarization. The Summarize tab is the real kind of power of Copilot. We've talked about Copilot being able to generate information quicker than you could on your own. Being able to process large sets of data down to an effective summary allows you to apply your own expertise quicker. So the Summarize tab in that risky user detail window gives you a summary of all the information that went into that risk assignment for that user and gives you a more powerful way of being able to evaluate this overall. Thank you for joining us on this journey through Microsoft Copilot for Security. Stay tuned for more insights and practical applications of this powerful tool. Until next time, stay secure.